Hello, Beach Channel. I'm Max Weiler, and we're Bald Guys Finance. Scott, what do you think of that name?
I like it, Max, although I think you're working against the system here. I notice you've got some, looks like designer jeans, and is that a polo shirt you got on, Max?
Yeah, somebody stopped me one time, and they go, I know you didn't buy those clothes. And they're right. Lisa bought these for me.
This is as dressed up as I think I've ever seen you, Max.
I don't want to know how much they cost, because it's probably half my wardrobe cost or whatever else. Definitely didn't come from BJ's or Costco or anything else. But gifts, and we can live a little sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, especially as we get older, we got to live a little bit.
And that's the thing. When we get older, hopefully you've kind of put your plan in place, and then then you can buy things and not worry about it. It's not going to impact the.
You mentioned plan in place, and for a lot of people that means a financial advisor, and we get a chuckle sometimes out of that because some of these financial advisors, we both have played the dinners and all the other stuff, right? And our friend Tim. He does a lot of those dinners right now. He's about to retire in 2 months. What financial advisors? What's a general thing what you have on that?
I think I think most people that are not interested in investing, that are not interested in learning, the craft, the trade. I think someone who's practiced in a completely different area for their whole life, and let's say they're getting ready to retire, and let's say you're working for Miami-Dade County, you get a big drop, you get a big lump sum of money. Most people don't know what to do with that. So I think in that case, a financial advisor is the right call. In my relationship, Belinda, she doesn't want anything to do with stocks. She doesn't like it. She doesn't, educate herself on it. So, if something happens to me, I want a financial advisor, managing.
That call's expensive, though.
It is. It's expensive for me and you. because
1 to 2% of your total net worth.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
It is expensive. And it's become more expensive lately. And the reason I say that is because interest rates have come down. When interest rates were 8 or 10%, and if you're paying a financial advisor, let's say 1.5, 75 basis points, that's less of a.
You got to negotiate for that 75 basis points.
There you go. Yeah.
Those guys are really stuck on the 1 or 1.5.
Yeah, but it's less of a percentage. So just think about it. But if interest rates are at 5% and you're giving 1 to 2 to a financial advisor, that's a large percentage of. You could put your money into a money market or a very secure dividend-paying stock that, let's say, pays 5%. And if 1% of that is going to a financial advisor, that's 25% of that return. So it's not just 1%, it's a high percentage of what your net income is.
Well, and also, it's money that it's gone and it's not earning money. So if somebody's taking 1% of $1 million, that's $10,000.
Right. And if you're getting 5% on $1 million, that's $50,000. So you're giving away 10,000 of the 50. That's a higher percentage than 1% of the $1 million, because I look at it as how much of your return is going to the financial advisor, as opposed to how much of your net worth that's being managed by the financial advisor or planner is being paid. Yes, 1-2% doesn't sound like a lot of money on the surface, but if you're only getting 5% and you're giving away, let's say 2%, if you're giving 1%, what is that, 20%? You're giving away 20. I say giving away, I don't mean to be disrespectful, because like I said, my father had no interest in business. He didn't know anything about it.
Right.
And he was well served by a very good financial advisor.
Well, when you say well served, isn't there better ways? You and I have bought services. We've gone to some things. Mutual funds are financial advisors, and you could pay 50. You can get those on index funds at 25 or 30 basis points maximum. That's a lot cheaper than 1%.
It's cheaper than 1% if you know what a mutual fund is. But if you're someone who has no desire, no interest, no aptitude or interest in understanding the way money works, understanding what a good or bad mutual fund is, then you're better served by having somebody manage your money.
But if it's broken out, someone like your father, you go to him and say he's got $2 million, and you say it's $20,000 for the privilege of calling that guy up. He can't learn about mutual funds in 5 minutes. He was a doctor, for goodness sake.
I totally agree, Max. And but there are cases where, you'll have a marital couple that, one person dies and the other person has never touched any part of the money. They have no idea what they're doing. And, their interests were in other directions. But for someone like that, there's a time and place for it. For someone who has even an inkling or a small amount of interest in understanding mutual funds, let's say money markets or things like that, it's tough to justify the employment of someone that's going to take 1% to 2% of something that's going to return 5%. Because again, or two.
Well, they got a lot of other things. I'll go down your path. My attitude on the thing. I'll go down your path, but let's go down some of the things to watch out for people who do need a financial advisor. One of the things you and I get a chuckle out of every time when they come at you, they're selling annuities. What happens then?
I run. When I hear annuities, I tend to just...
It's guaranteed income. What do you mean?
Yeah, I hang the phone up real quick. The fees are huge. The upfront fees are huge on annuities. And I'm not saying there's not a place for annuities. For me, I stop at the initial fees. They're very high.
Annuities are a life insurance product. Then that goes into the ones who are selling you life insurance then. Whole life, or what's the term they use now?
Whole life,
permanent,
variable life.
Permanent. That's the whole life was the old thing. Permanent insurance makes it sound like all that extra money you're paying. Life insurance is important. I have term insurance.
Yeah.
Which expires when I'm 66 or whatever else, because then all my kids are working. I do have a disabled kid or an adult who has money in place or whatever else. So I don't need the insurance anymore. What do you need permanent insurance for?
Yeah, there are times and places for insurance. Insurance is oftentimes used for, estate taxes. If somebody, let's say, owns, I'm going to go kind of high level here, but if someone owns, let's say, all real estate and they have no liquidity, then a life insurance policy could serve as a liquidity event upon a death. Because when you die, if you have more than currently somewhere around 27 million, anything above that is going to be taxed at the current rate. So there's a place for that.
And it does make sense, but it's expensive.
Well, I also think like Belinda and I took out a life insurance policy when we bought our first house and we had no money.
Right.
And we took out a $250,000. We took out a term policy because if something were to happen to either of us early on in our life, we wanted the other person to be able to pay off that mortgage.
Right.
And so I think there's a time and place for it as an investment strategy. Other than maybe some sophisticated estate planning, I don't have life insurance. I've watched elderly family members get, sucked up or bought into life insurance policies only to abandon them or vacate them when they couldn't really afford the premium. So someone obviously sold them something that was not sustainable. And so they gave up the policy and, they had paid premiums for maybe 10, 12 years and could not continue to pay the premium. So
have you ever seen those projections actually pan out the way they're presented?
I haven't
either.
I did one based on a certain interest rate that, a lot of people will talk about after the 12th or 13th year, the policy will self-fund, which means your premium will be paid by the interest. But in the two experiences that I've had with life insurance policies, that did not play out. Now, I'm sure there's cases where it does, but I can just tell you I don't have life insurance.
All right, so we talked financial advisors and all. We're talking investment and that. So let's go to younger people. There's some other things besides money you still got to spend money. The big question these days is, do you invest in college? That's a big expense now. And like everything else you invest in, there's got to be a good return or it's not worth it, right?
I think college has become prohibitively expensive.
Especially out of state. Florida, we're very fortunate that the in-state schools are still relatively inexpensive, and if somebody has bright futures.
Yeah, it's interesting. I went to undergraduate, I went to Duke, and then I put
Duke's a $70,000 a year school now.
Yeah, and then I put myself through my MBA program at the University of Miami, and I benefited. I went to the executive MBA program, and back then for $25,000, I got my MBA, and I went every Saturday over a 2-year period of time, and that was so much more rewarding and so much more value than the education I got at Duke.
How much is that now?
I don't know. It might be 120 grand. I don't.
Is it worth 120?
I don't think you need to go to.
Nobody from the UM's watching. You can say.
Yeah, I mean, I have lowered my valuation of Ivy League or name brand college. I learned way more at University of Miami than I did at Duke. I mean, Duke is a higher profile name, and people think you're smart if you went to Duke, but
it's also undergrad, so you're getting given a benefit of doubt. Undergrad isn't as concentrated as.
I think I don't know, Max. I'm like 50-50. I think it's a great experience. It's a great time in one's life, and I think the experience is equal or even greater than the education.
But it's not go into debt for $250,000.
I don't think so. I mean, and just on that topic, like Miami-Dade or like some of the state community colleges, you're gonna learn the same stuff that you're going to learn at some highfalutin.
Same books.
I mean, if someone is dedicated and interested, you don't need to go to. In fact, there's an argument that some of these colleges will miseducate you in a lot of respects.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of topics that people are studying that, I don't know that they've proved to be. If your primary interest is making money, there's a lot of fluff out there, and there's a lot of directions that people are being led that.
If your interest is just to make a decent income, some of it's a bad path, and it's like any other investment. You put $250,000 that they should be shot.
It's
for some of those
huge hurdle
those things.
Well, you wake up and you've graduated from college and you're staring at $250,000 of debt.
And the best job you can get is $35,000 a year. Those numbers don't work.
No, and the makeup time, the recapture time is very scary. I even look at like attorneys and doctors, and I look at the extra schooling that they have to go through before they become an income producer. And I went right into real estate, which was a straight commission-based business, and I could start making money day one if I performed. And the thought of having to wait 4 years or 8 to 12 years for a medical degree, it's very scary, and I think those are valuable years that are lost.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at least when they are what's it called when they graduate, they get paid as, I want to say intern, but that's not it. They get paid residency.
Yeah,
they get paid
doctors,
at least, and they get paid decent. It's not doesn't cover it. I mean, dentists don't get paid at all in residencies. That's why dentists have the highest college loans. Some of them were $1 million. How do you justify $1 million to become a dentist?
I think dentists have the highest suicide rate too. Maybe there's a correlation.
Yeah, we talked about the psychology of getting in debt and not being. It can be ugly. But those are decisions. When you and I were going to school, we just go to school. You weren't mortgaging your whole future. You and I both were on athletic scholarships, so we got lucky on that. But even if we were paying, it wouldn't have put us at a gigantic disadvantage by paying. Now the costs. You got to look at that. It's like any other investment. You and I, we've all established we're very cheap. We don't like to spend our money on stuff we don't need, but our wallets open up when it comes to seminars where we might learn something new, even one item, investment type things or anything else. Talk about that type of investment.
I disagree with your us being lucky to get scholarships. Think about how many times you banged your head up against another young man going full speed, and the hours and the time and the after school.
Yeah, we didn't get paid minimum wage.
We didn't get paid, but you put your time in when you're playing collegiate athletics and you're on a scholarship.
Year round, people don't realize
year round, and you're competing. In my case, like with the valedictorians and the salutatorians of the high schools that went to Duke. So now I'm competing with them for the academics at the same time I'm playing football. So don't downgrade that, because that's quite an accomplishment. But what was your question?
The college thing. So yeah, college, there is a question whether to the huge amounts on that. But you and I are pretty free spending when it comes to seminars and
Right.
things where we can work something. That's because we think we can make money from that, right?
I absolutely, like, for example, I'm going to enroll in an AI class now. I don't know the cost, but I want to be up to speed. I'm an older fellow in a younger fellow's business, and I want to utilize all these tools. I remember, when I started out, some of the senior level people in my profession always had the latest technology, the latest iPhones or the latest tools, and those were always like cost barriers that were hard for me to get to. But investing in yourself, investing in seminars, investing in learning about AI, investing in learning how to market your product, investing on understanding the business, the payoff ratios in the social media arena that
Those
that
are all
you
good
work in.
investments, and those pay off.
They do.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah, you got to be open to all the change and everything else, and you got to be willing to spend the money on those things because that's good money spent. So, as far back to where this subject is investments and all that. So, some of the things, some of the other things you got to watch out for or look into. We talked about financial advisors. You expressed your opinion. To me, I think it's crazy if somebody even has a coherent ability to read that they can't do their own investing. And that doesn't mean they have to pick stocks or anything, but they can pick a few mutual funds and mitigate their risk or whatever else. But if they want to finance, for some reason, the financial advisors make these guys feel better, it's fine. But other investments, when you go into a partnership with somebody on properties or anything else, you and I are partners on things. I think I got a great partner. It's very important to make sure you get good partners on those things.
Absolutely. And candidly, Max, you're my only partner. Every other than my wife, on any type of investment. And I think it is really important to have a good partner. Our partnership works because we both add value to the investment. In this case, it's a building. It's two buildings, and we have different skill sets. You're here, you're on site, you're managing the day to day. I hopefully am adding financial structure, market knowledge. We're doing the leasing here.
Well, your real estate knowledge was the ability to acquire the property. It wouldn't have happened without your expertise in that matter.
But honesty, Max, is important, and it's really important. Like, I don't, you want to find someone that you can trust, and sometimes
and also somebody who work hard. You mentioned we went into another real estate partnership recently where there was a bunch of young guys. They're handling it, and you go, "Oh, I love these because these young guys have energy and all. We don't have this energy anymore. They'll do well."
Well,
and I put money in it.
Also,
you were correct.
Yeah, there's also a familial relationship. It's your son-in-law, and so to me, that connectivity. That addresses the honesty question because you're not going to rip off a family member, and if you do, you're going to be in trouble.
Well, I liked your whole explanation though, as a young guy working hard and all that, because I remember at that age.
Yeah.
Now there's some stuff we just won't do, right?
Well, the thing with that investment is, I'm in real estate. I've been an active investor and manager and leasing agent and sales broker, and I've been a jack of all trades as far as our own investments. What this partnership that you're describing provides me is passive income in the real estate sector. In this case, I write a check and someone else does all the work, and it's someone who I know and it's someone who I trust. It's in a different geography. I think our investment.
So that diversifies your area. Hurricane hits here, you're not affected over
and
there.
I don't have to answer the phone when the roof's leaking because and I don't have to raise the rents and hear why we're being overcharged, and so
or chase down roaches or
fix
and
it's with someone who I like and we like, and there's a connection there. So it's a steady return. It's a quarterly payment in this case of about 7%, and so far so good. I think
it's been great. Yeah. So the next this section is about investments and all the other stuff. So we got to go through for the young investors who are watching or whatever else. I hope that we're giving good knowledge and all that. We're not getting paid to do this, so our information is good. It's valid because we're not gaining anything from this other than doing that.
You're not paying me?
No, we're not paying. There's no pay on
Was that
this
in my
thing.
contract, Max?
Yes, it's in the contract. But there's some basic stuff all the financial people go through. The first thing that everybody should have is an emergency fund, right? And how much should that be? 3 months of your expenses?
I think so. I honestly don't. I haven't thought a lot about that.
In years.
In years, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
so I don't know the answer to that. I don't know whether it's 3 months or 4 months. I don't know. But there should be a cushion. There should be reserve money.
Well, that goes to your psychology thing. I mean, money, if you get into a jam, you get laid off or something, and you don't have any cushion, that's stressful.
Yeah.
Not being able to pay your mortgage or your rent or a lot of things.
Absolutely. So I would go with what the experts. I would do a Google. I would do a
Yeah, they
GP
definitely
chat
go
on that.
90 days. Your guy who attacks credit cards, like pins them
Yeah.
up against the wall
Yeah.
and kills you for having a credit card. I think he says 90 days.
Yeah.
Next thing after that, you want an investment fund. You want to have some type of, and they make it easy now. When you and I were young investors or whatever else, you had to pay a commission and all these other things. Now you can get an E-Trade account or one of these other things for nothing.
Yeah.
And you can buy one share of stock if you want to, or get into a mutual fund or something else. So it's pretty easy, and it doesn't cost anything. So it's pretty easy to get an investment fund going. And then the thing what a lot of these youngsters miss out on is the advantages of retirement accounts. I know both you and I have utilized fully the retirement accounts. There's a lot of advantages to it, especially if you're an employee, because there's matching money. That's free money.
I encourage whoever has the ability to do that. My daughter did that when she worked for a software company out in California, a storage company, data storage company, and they gave her stock options and they gave her the ability to match, or they matched whenever she invested. And I would encourage anyone who has that ability to maximize that.
Well, the youngsters will tell you that's not till 59 and a half or whatever else. What do you think of that? That happens quick?
It goes back to the delayed gratification theory. I mean, you want to have something when you're ready to retire, and that's discipline. That money is not probably going to impact your lifestyle at that age. And I think just getting used to setting aside a certain percentage of your salary towards the eventual event when you're not going to work anymore.
We're getting near the end here.
Okay.
Take a good look at me. You're not going to see me dressed like this very often. Lisa buys me stuff on Christmas and my birthday, so I don't have too many fine clothes, but these are some of them. And investment, important. People should get going early. The key is to get going early on it. And the deferred gratification, again, is important.
And have a plan, Max. Have a plan and write it down. Have a written plan that you could look at and then compare what you're doing to what your plan is.
Yeah. That's Bald Guys Finance. I'm Max Weiler, and we'll see you next time.